I'm Young Cho, by the way. I'll just introduce myself.
Okay, then let him introduce himself. Just two things remind that remember to do the survey by the end of this section. And also your registration number is right here on your blue ticket. And that's everything. And please silence your cell phone. And then we can start. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're a little bit behind, so make sure I'm honest with the time. Somebody could keep the time for me.
You want a 5-minute warning?
Yeah, please do that. All right. You may think you have the best solution, but the reality is things have changed. To what extent? This is what you have. These are malware threat. This is 2016. This is the latest data. Okay, this curve is going down. This is something, I'm going to show you some statistics. This is nothing to joke about. Security is important, yeah, but what? Well, you need to do something with it because business is not as usual. I'm Young Cho. I'm the young and chosen one in Microsoft. This is my website. It's my Twitter. Who I am and what I work for, they're not important. What I'm going to share with you is very important. So facing all this BYOD, bring your own device type of thing, how do we secure our device? Facing those increasing malware threats, how do we secure our device, right? We need a new approach. And yes, I'm talking about Windows 10, and if you don't like Microsoft, you don't run Windows 10, that's fine. Just replace that with your own security solution. But you need to ask the same question. You still need to focus on the same thing. Are you able to secure your device facing all those threats, facing this BYOD situation, right? Let's take a little bit of review. Back in like 2003 time frame, at that time, attack is more like a novelty. You know, we have script kiddies, and those kids, they just take something that people develop already and come in and attack you. What they're looking for is like playing, you know, mischief in the community, become a celebrity. I'm cool. I know how to hack. That was it. Until we hit Blaster. Remember Blaster? Slammer, right? Sandy, I love you. Billy Gates, why don't you fix your software? Why don't you let this happen? Remember that? That whole payload is 374 bytes. One TCP/IP packet is 1.5K. That whole payload is smaller than a one TCP/IP packet. This is why when it blows out, in seconds, it flooded the network. We knew there's something different. And then, so I think summer of 2004, we released XP SP1 to address some of the issues. At that time, buffer overrun everywhere, every time, every day. Around 2005, we noticed something's different. We noticed organized crime came in, and they developed ransomware. We started to see things change, because at that time, they are looking for profit. They send you something, you click, right? They steal your identity, hack your machine, get your picture, get your personal identity information, and then send you email, pay me this much. Otherwise, so and so. That is still very much happening today. I'm going to show some statistics, pretty scary. And so at that time, it kind of changed, looking for profit. And then, 2012, we noticed that there's a new thing coming out, and we'll give it a name called APT, Advanced Persistent Threats. It's advanced because it's very sophisticated. It's no longer just hack your machine. It actually sets up an infrastructure, a virus infrastructure, doing command and control. It will phone home, it will set up a network, and put in all those bots in in your network, so they support each other. What, you got wiped out? Reload. Oh, by the way, I have rootkit update coming in. Send it out to all those nodes. It's basically a distribution network. And we notice there's also nation state behind supporting that. And you see activity coming from various areas of the world, right? And so something's different. It's advanced, it's sophisticated, it's persistent because it will it will have a command and control mechanism to it. It's a threat because it is poking your network, it is looking for profit or making a statement, either for political gain or whatever the ideology they have. So it's different. So things get really complex now. So if we look at their kind of the playbook, how the hacker attack you. First, you have a very healthy computer. You just deploy the network, deploy the desktop, and you get a healthy computer. And then you probably receive some email. This kind of email is very crafted. This is not like, hey, you just win $5,000 or $50,000. Hey, you know what? Come here, you get a free car. No, it's not like that. This is something like, for instance, if you're in the finance department, you get this email, the job report of last year. Right? If you're a stock analyst, you come in an email saying, you know, why Twitter went down this last 2 days. Right? This is very crafted email, targeted particular user. And also, they don't send out 2,000 email. They send out that 25 people in your company that who are responsible for finance or particular area they're looking for. So these emails are very real, very tempting. They just need one person to click it. Right? Some of the email automatically gets into your junk folder. They just need, out of this 25, they just need one person to click it to view it. And they will send out multiple waves. Not every day, but they send out this wave, and then a couple of days. It's a very crafted operation. Then somebody, either you go to a website, you download a document or something, and there's a back channel to set up a backdoor, back to wherever the home station they want to. And they started looking, your device. And once they infected, they started monitoring. And then they will kind of look at, okay, is this a valid account? Are there valid accounts here? Are these accounts have privilege? If they don't, then they will look for what we call lateral movement. They will start looking for, is there some account I can take advantage of? If not, they will make the computer misbehave. Right? And then you will call help desk. These days, we all do remote support, right? When you call help desk, what's the first thing they do? May I connect to your computer? Yes, please. Do I have full control? Can you give me admin control? Yes. So you will help desk for remote control. The help desk account, normally technical support account, got higher privilege in the network. Right? So once they connect, credentials cached, then they can do like pass the hash attack, things like that. They start looking for other places in your network. If this is not high value, where are the high value accounts? For instance, this computer may have some share. They can start looking for that. They may have different accounts. They may have network support account coming in. They will use that account and look for other network resources, do lateral movement. Eventually, they're going to find something. The ultimate goal is the domain controller. Once you get that, pretty much you control the whole network. Right? And this is very, very costly to clean up if it is doable. What else got hacked? You can think about your IT budget. Bigger than my house. They got hit. They got hit hard. Sony is a little bit different. Sony is like 911, right? Remember they want to play that movie? And that movie to the interview of the national leader. So they said, any theater playing this movie, I'm going to hit you. This is just like, if your ideology and my ideology is different, you know what? I'm going to do something with it. This is similar to 911 attack. This is a different level. Target. They hit with the low privilege workstation. I think they were using for air conditioning or something like that. But they just need some place to get in, right? Not to mention, if you're in Burger King, and see a 64 get this, thumb drive, don't pick it up, right? I mean, things like that. It's easy to get stuff in. So these are very real. People got hit. This paper published in August of 2015. They talk about configure. Configure is not even APT. It's not even advanced persistent threat. Configure, they got hit. The network got hit. Six years later, they still cannot clean it up. This is after they know they got hit. They have an institutionalized effort to clean up this guy. They have not been able to. You need to read this report. Okay, you need to read this report. And they also conclude that it's ineffective. After you got hit, all is cleaned up. You clean it up, you got more. You clean it up, you get more. So the best way is not to get hit, but it's very hard. You should assume either you've been hit, but you don't know it, or you've been hit, you don't know it. I mean, it's like that, right? So what have we learned? What Microsoft have learned from all this? This is also help you to organize the thoughts when you discuss security, right? This could be in a security conversation. This could be next Tuesday, you have a job interview and it's for security specialists. They ask you, well, tell me about security, how are you going to organize your information and tell them about it. This could be your next book. When you talk about the security, how you can organize your information. This could be your IT manager, how you organize your team facing all these threats, right? How you're going to manage the security. We don't know, there's an identity, information protection, threat resistance. We put it in these three categories. So when you discuss a security issue or you're looking for some security solution, these are kind of the guideline for you or a category for you to focus on. Identity, it's a user ID password, right? That's easy. Information protection, what we mean is those data on the disk. Right? Primarily is that, or it's the email you send it out. It's the attachment you send it out. Threat resistance is talking about all those threats happening every day. There's new thing coming in, hitting you every day. How are you going to prevent that? You can put it in the three categories. Quite frankly, in security, it's simple. Access control. Access control is your identity. It's your password, right? You got to connect to it first. You got to access to it. Second thing is the data on disk. We know the solution. We really do. Identity, multi-factor authentication. Information protection, encryption. Encryption at rest, encryption in transit. Right? AES 256, 1024, they're very good. Mathematical model, it's 100 years before you can brute force reach the end, right? The mathematical model is there. The weakest link is still the password. Quite frankly, if I'm a hacker today, I'm not going to say, oh, they use a 128, oh, well, I'm going to hack that now. I'm just going to do social engineering to get the password, right? Some security consultant firm, and I don't remember the source. They say they walk in, if they social engineering into a company and look at the desk, the first thing they look at is, well, behind the monitor. It could be password, right? First thing, under the keyboard. The third thing, upper right, if there's a shelf. The fourth thing, first row on the left. I'm not gonna brute force. That's why many people say, "Oh, what algorithm you use?" You know what? It's a password. It's the password, right? And this, it's the encryption. Now, do you encrypt or not? It's when you encrypt on the disk. But guess what? There may be legitimate reason for me to download 500,000 Social Security and work at home. There may be legitimate reason to do that. But when I download it, is it encrypted? If I lose it, you pick it up. You plug it into the computer. Is it encrypted? That's the question we need to ask. So we know the solution. Multi-factor, protect your password. Multi-factor authentication, encryption at rest, encryption in transit, encryption every time, anywhere. But the question is, when you have like 3 or 4 different systems, when I move from system to system, which BYOD today, many times we download it, we carry it with us. Is it encrypted? That's the question you ask. And then, facing all kinds of new threats coming in, do I have a strategy for fixing it? Do I just keep buying different software? What do I do, right? And out of all this, to make it meaningful, your hardware has to have integrity. If I put a boot kit there, by the time you boot it up, you swallow the blue pill. Everything is hunky-dory, right? Everything is what you want to believe. So the hardware integrity is something we need to focus because it's getting very sophisticated now. So, that's the category you need to think of. There's the 4 pillars there, right? Your identity protection, your information protection, your threat resistance, and your hardware integrity. Now, in the interest of time, I can't go through all this, but I'm going to try to catch as much as you can. But just so you realize, let's keep this picture in your mind. Whenever you talk about security, ask the question. Put it in this category. Is that in this category, that category? Do I have an answer? Right? That's what we need to focus on. All right. First, let's look at the kind of the password identity piece, right? Well, it's just a fact of life. Every day we access different websites. We access multiple things. We do work. We have personal life. You know, I may be talking here, but by the time I walk up, I still want to see my son's picture when they're playing soccer. Things like that, right? You may just walk out of a meeting. You still want to look at, respond to the Facebook post that your wife just did or your spouse just did. It's just a fact of life. We blend it together. So there are times throughout the workday you will access company website and the grocery store at your doorstep or your downstairs, the ground floor, that grocery store that you always buy grocery there. And they happen to be a mom and pop shop. They barely have their internet site up, let alone about security. What's security? So you access different websites. I'm a hacker. I won't attack your bank account. That's too hard. They have whole financial responsibility and legal complication, all that dedicated to protect your identity. No, I won't hack that. I will hack that mom and pop shop. And if you use the same ID and same password, then we got issue because all I have to do is find the weakest link, I hack it, and then I go back because you use the same ID and password. Real, young, real. Oh, we're smarter than that, really? We'll see. What about business? Okay, that's the home user. Business, we have PKI. We are all cool with that, right? We'll first get a certificate, then we'll authenticate it in, exchange certificate, and access the network. Great, great. And you know what? If you use the same ID and password, right? I hack your home, your computer network, and then I can access the resource. I can also steal your data. They are still attack vectors out there, given the fact that in the enterprise they use PKI. The issue here is no multi-factor. There's no device dependency. So if I get your user ID password, I can remote connect in from Malaysia, from China, from East Europe, right? And then once I connect, I can still steal data. And then back to that question, it's encrypted here, I can move it out, it's encrypted. Right? So there are still vulnerability here. So how bad it is? Let's take a look at this. This is 2010, August, published. 75% of social networking username and password collected online are identical for those used for email account. 75%. I think the sample space is about 20K or something. It's a pretty considerable amount. All right, UK. British, I suppose, smarter than us, right? All right, so over half they use same user ID and password. This sample space is much smaller, about 2,500 people, I think, but still 50%. You look around, there are many people who use same ID and password. You look around. This is just the fact of life. That's what we're facing. What's the solution? We know the solution. Eliminate password. Don't use password. Use biometrics. Use multi-factor authentication. Let me tell you something. I once had the privilege to serve a military account. So I was in Korea, and I was serving in a military camp, and then they have biometric authentication, and it was really kind of like very sci-fi type of thing. So come to the door, they have the door like the door open this way and the other door open the other way, so you cannot just kind of rush in, right? And then at the door they have authentication. And so the sergeant asked me to put your hand there, and there's like a machine right here, and then poof. They take the signature of my vein, my blood pressure, and all that. That was it. It didn't inject anything. It was poof. Every morning I just go there, poof. It's unreal. And then wait until you hear this. So it's highly secure. It's a, they call it network operation center. Yeah, no, something. I'm telling you. Did you guys see the Minority Report? Like all that, all right? Not that fancy. Certainly the commander is not as good looking as Tom Cruise. But I tell you what, the whole wall is the entire peninsula, all the server and all that. We see it on the wall, right? So there's a pretty sophisticated. What I want to tell you is, so the front door, you have that, right? After you walk in, then you see, the back door is open, people are smoking. So secure, when we talk about security, we need to, but anyway, eliminate password, multi-factor authentication. So how do we eliminate password? In Windows 10, we have biometrics, right? And I'll show you in a minute. What they do is, okay. Yesterday was 3:30, so all right. So you can use a fingerprint, you can use your facial, and we don't take pictures. These are actually 3 cameras built in. You use Intel RealSense 3D camera. You go out internet and find out. If you buy a kit to do development, it's about $99. It's an infrared camera. So we call the characteristics of your face, all right? And then we take that, put it into a security template, and basically hash it. So come up with a hash value. Just like you put in your password, come up with a hash value. Other than that, this is from your characteristic of your face. The same thing with the fingerprint. So we don't store the fingerprint, we don't store the face. That's why you take a picture. No. You print the fingerprint. No. It will take the characteristic of this, and also it's infrared camera, so it's colorblind. Right? It doesn't respond to pictures. Do that, and so it will look for you when you turn it on. If your device, assuming you're running Windows 10, right? And then if your device have that capability, we will automatically turn on the feature. And then you can configure it. Once you configure it, it will look for you. And once you stay in front of it, it takes that, compare the hash value, and then it will log you in. All right? Oh, I'll show you that. Oh.
What happens if you're hungover the next morning? You don't see it?
Then I don't know. I cannot. My camera, my computer, that connector won't project. But basically, I was going to show you how you can set it up. So if your computer do have that capability, Windows 10 will say, set up, Windows Hello, and then you click that, the computer will turn on. Will first authenticate you, right? Once you get authenticated, it will just stare at the screen for about 10 seconds or something, and then it will capture that, and then you can continue to train it. You can do improve. And so I wear my glasses. I don't need to do anything. I just stare at that and just show my pretty face and will authenticate me.
I keep my camera covered up all the time. Can I uncover it to do the authentication and cover it back up?
Yeah, you can do that. This is using that camera now. You cover it because you're concerned, right? I do the same.
I don't cover mine at all.
I cover it. It just, I disable all feature. I still cover it. You just don't know. Then yes, you can certainly do that. A lot of time, you can use this in some cases. For instance, you're on a bus, right? So authenticate this will be easy to authenticate you. Or there are times you simply just not easy to type. You can use this authentication. You can use it as your main authentication or part of one mechanism you do. There's also a PIN number. I think I took out a slide. The PIN number, 4-digit PIN number, is also a little bit different than just other PIN number. And you will go to the internet, you will see people saying, oh, Windows 10 PIN number is more secure than password. And I tell you what, that PIN number is associated with your hardware TPM. So basically it's multi-factor. So that PIN number is only good for that machine, that TPM basically, but it's implicit. And this is one of the solutions, that multi-factor. We know to secure it is use multi-factor. Why it has not been popular? Because it's too hard to deploy, right? Windows 7 we introduced that, too hard to deploy. deploy. Windows 8, we introduced virtual smart card, still too hard to maintain, right? And so we got to make it really easy for the users. It's really easy. In Windows 7, when we have that multi-factor authentication, I have to carry a reader, which is cost. I travel all the time, I lost the reader all the time. Then I have to call help desk. There's a support infrastructure to set up. It's very expensive. The smart card is expensive. So Windows 8 will give you a solution, virtual smart card. Same concept, other than that certificate is put in your TPM. But the certificate infrastructure, that skill set is tough. Still hard to maintain. So in Windows 10, yeah, your admin still needs to have some skill to set it up, but your user will totally transparent, have no idea. I just put in a PIN number, not PIN number actually. You steal my PIN number, you cannot log in from your machine because it's machine dependent like that. So implicit multi-factor. But to answer your question, for Windows Hello, you do need to let it seize you, right? But you can make the decision you want to let it constantly on or different. Yes.
How do you remote into your own box?
How do I remote into my box?
Yes, if you only have a PIN and facial recognition, that's local authentication. How do you get in remote?
Well, good question. So there's a couple of things here. For instance, if I want to remote back into my home machine, right? Certainly there's a particular port, right?
If you set up your own personal LAN,
Yes.
it's on your own LAN, and you have one machine here and one machine there,
Right.
and you just want to remote into
Right.
this machine that has your PIN.
Right, okay, it's the same thing. This would be like my demo, it's the same thing. In that case, your virtual machine can have virtual TPM. In Windows 2016, Server 2016, has to be 2016 level, or, which also means Windows 10 anniversary. We can have virtual TPM. In other words, your virtual machine can have that capability, the virtual TPM capability. So your virtual machine can have as if you have a TPM. Previously, we cannot do that. Also, your virtual machine can also have, this is a little bit off topic, can have the BitLocker at the virtual machine level. But to answer your question, that's if you really want to do that, that's how you can set it up. There's also another more complicated way we call a shielded VM, which is basically, I'll talk about that, that will come up. But it's the same concept. It's a somehow we need to associate with that hardware, either that virtual hardware or a real TPM. All right, so that's kind of really much abbreviated version of the kind of the password thing. It's basically eliminate the password, right? Do the multi-factor. And if you have not done multi-factor, you need to do that. You need to do multi-factor. And if I'm a hacker, quite frankly, if you don't multi-factor, don't bother. Because why? Because there's so many other people I can hack. You know. Yeah. So multi-factor, you have to put it. I see it's the most direct, and people may disagree. I think it's a direct and cheapest way to deter the hacking activity. All right, so that's kind of very briefly to that. So let's talk about data protection. We know data protection solution is what? Encryption. Encryption. The issue is when you move around, is it still encrypted? That's what we need to ask. So before that, let's ask a question. How many of you guys, right, will upload or have upload, maybe it's company data to cloud, to your personal, for legitimate reason? This is nothing to penalize you or anything. How many? Okay, we see about 40% of the rest are Statistics said 87%. Here's the 2013. They said senior managers regularly upload work file to personal email or cloud account. Now, whenever you see this, remember I just showed you the same ID and password. And all those who hacked, that's your opportunity right there. All right, I'm going to do this one more time. How many of you have, by accident, sent it to something to perhaps who shouldn't receive it? Okay, it's the same thing. We'll see how much I have now. 58%. This is like a fat finger. Oops, there's 3,000 people on the. I just replied all, right? Oh, oops, there's external people there. I just replied. 58%. These are the data protection issue. Why? I attached to the email and sent it out to people who I'm not supposed to send it. What am I going to do? Can I get it back? Once it goes out. And also, I don't know if you, there are people today out there, they just collect everything. Those I can decrypt, or I know how to do it, I'll do it today. Those I don't, I just wait until the technology comes out. The storage is so cheap. I am not kidding. Okay. There are big brothers who, did you guys just hear about Yahoo? Right. I work for Microsoft, so I'm not going to say too much. But there's a. I tell you what, wherever there's electricity, I'll be concerned. I am not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. I'll tell you one thing. So scary. First, let me share with you. All the cloud computing, right? The tag you have for the car when you pass through that. Believe it or not, Xerox. They did a lot of that. They did a lot of that. One gentleman, I have a conversation with him, he told me, he said, they have about, I can't remember, it's a 0.2 second or 0.02 second to identify you, check your bank account, see if you have enough money. If you do, deduct it, update, and come back and flash the light at your pass. And that's through cloud. They may have to do something local and then to the cloud. But all the time, that's just like that, right? Split seconds. California. Now, today, like the empty parking spot has something monitored with cloud, that's nothing. California, and I heard that, I don't know if real or speculation, but it's the same person that's doing the zero option that I told you. He said, people put in a dummy there, right, and then to take the individual beam, right? They will have infrared camera to see if that's alive or not. And then they will also check if you put a dog there, right? Well, if there are two people on average 150 pounds or 300 pounds for this type of car, how low the car should go. There may be a little bit fantasy, but what I want to tell you is these things are all real. It's a very scary, right? So in terms of security, you need to think about. You need to think about how to protect your identity and then all that. I'm a little off topic, but this is very real stuff. All right, 58%. So data protection. So Microsoft provides you. I'm going to kind of do it real quick. Just tell you what it is, because I can't demo this thing. This thing has to set up in a kind of domain environment. But you need to remember the term called EDP. Enterprise data protection. The net is you will classify your data. If you say this is company data, it doesn't matter where it goes. It's always encrypted. It's always encrypted. You can move 300 times. It will be encrypted. When you want to look at it, open it, it will say, do you have the encryption key? If you don't authenticate, I go to the cloud and look for the key for you if you authenticate it. Right? It doesn't matter where. If you declare this is company data, and those are not company data, which is personal, you do whatever you want. We don't touch it. So this needs to be in a managed environment, in other words, domain environment. So once the admin classifies the data, all company data will also be encrypted. We will have total control. So if the employee leaves, we just need to wipe it. So next time when you boot it up, before you have a chance to see the data, it's wiped. It can do remote wipe. And also, you can have personal data, company data all mixed together. We won't mess up. When you open this, we will need the encryption key. When you open personal data, they can be all in the same folder. It doesn't really matter. You can also set up, once you set up the remote point or the network entry point. In other words, if I VPN into Microsoft network, right, I don't need to declare anything. If it's going through company endpoint, automatically encrypted. So the user doesn't need to know anything. So that VP causing all the data leak problem, set this up, your VP will set it free. And you can get your job kept. Right? Things like that. But anyway, so this is something that we're very excited about it. Personally, I think this basically addresses the solution. Like I said, it's encryption. So this encrypt everywhere, anywhere, and also leave your personal data alone. Okay? So that's just the data protection. We're going to look at the threats. Right? So this is 2014 December. Guess where Sky Lab, right? 325,000 new threats, new malicious threat. This is reported 2014 March 18th, 82,000 new threats every day. Every day. Okay, this is reported, I forgot here, but this I think this is 2015 or something. 225,000 new threat every day in the first quarter. CNN Money, April 14, 2015, in Money Technology section, 1 million new threats every single day. Really? 1 million. This is 2016 August. 1 million ransomware threats in Australia for the first half. And we don't care about Australia, but 1 million ransomware. They are a company, yeah, they're paying money. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Okay, these are all real stuff. You should not assume you won't get hit. Like I said, you probably got hit, you just don't know. Another thing is, these days, because of the social network, it's very sophisticated. You got hit, you know why you got hit? Or you've been targeted, you know why? Because your wife's cousin's daughter's boyfriend is in the name. How do I know? How do I know? Because you keep like the music that he used. That's what it is. That's how they find out. The Facebook, Twitter, it all provide free information. I'll tell you another things happening. Machine learning, you heard about that, right? It's not like a machine learning, no. Machine learning for us is one thing, is to, from a whole bunch of data, we don't know how they related. Feeding into those development mathematical models, you come back, it will try to make up things for us. But some of the things you'll be surprised. So you should not assume that, oh, why would they would target me? Well, you know what? I go to Twitter, I get all those tweets, or go to Facebook, get all those likes, what data, I punch it into machine learning. And I say, who's most likely being these friends, all close friends, all likely? You'll be surprised. You will be surprised. Right? All those mail you're getting, they don't come out of nowhere. They come out of the machine learning recommended. Right? We can, a couple of projects I tell you, we just finished a project, do machine learning, measuring the brain temperature and find out the pattern, try to identify, do you have a particular disease or not? There's another company in Houston, we're talking about the project, have not done it. They try to figure out, well, is it good to drill here? Oh, it's better to drill there. Okay. The biggest revenue, or big revenue for those AccuWeather, no, they don't make money because we double the web now. They have all that data pumped into machine learning and to suggest, you know what, these 3 counties in Kansas are most likely to get hit for tornado next year. And guess what? All the Home Depot, all that, they just buying stuff, stack it up. You'd be surprised. So all this data, right? We can based upon statistics, you know, some data will come in. We can say, are you likely to get hit or not? Is your company likely to get hit? That's all possible. What I'm trying to tell you is, all these things, right? All these things are very real, happening every day. So what do? Remember all these 4 pillars? Your identity, information protection, threat resistance, right? This is about threat resistance, right? What we need to do is make sure your device has the capability. So Windows 10 has something called device guard. If you don't use Windows 10, fine, but make sure they have the capability. What you need to make sure is your OS has the integrity. By the time you boot up, your OS has not been altered. The process has not been bypassed, right? Things like that. And you need to have UEFI 2.3.1. This is pretty much the de facto, the lowest. You want to secure the device. So for us, what does that mean? Next time you have a chance to refresh your hardware, refresh your firmware, put in UEFI 2.3.1 and later. You strategically position, right? And this one you can do secure boot. To make it simple, secure boot basically is the industry standard. It allows you to, at the boot up time, right? So if I'm boot up these chips, load in the firmware. Okay, this firmware is from company XYZ. I have already had the information. For this company, it will be these certificates. If it's release 1, it's going to be this certificate. Release 2, it will be this certificate. We have that information already. And so when I learn it, we will do encryption, decryption. So you want to load it, I have to decrypt it. Decrypt it, okay. This company, this release has to be this key. I can't decrypt. If you alter it, if you're a hacker, you injected a certificate there, it won't decrypt. I can't load it. That's basically what it is. In other words, at the firmware level, we do PKI exchange. So it has to be mutually authenticated. If I'm loading this firmware, I know who you are, right? And if I can load it, I'm the right person. So it's mutually authenticated at the firmware level, right? For your identity, there's something we call virtualization-based security. This is sort of, you can think about, not exactly the same, but you can think about it this way. Basically, when you boot out a machine, we set aside a little, not virtual machine, but you can think about that way, an isolated environment to keep your credential. Because I do secure boot, I can guarantee the OS has integrity, and in the OS, in Windows 10, say, only particular service can call. So you cannot just like you're out of the blue, say, hey, give me credential. You can't. Because the OS has integrity, so we have specific, providing OS saying only this legitimate service can ask for credential. That's called virtualization-based security, right? User mode code integrity. This is basically something that if you alter it, it will get checked. And TPM. Just graphically to show you, we don't need to detail it, but I want you to know kind of what level you need to get into. So this is boot, right? At boot up time, UEFI, do a secure boot. So all the firmware guaranteed clean. This is why if you want to get into Windows 10, if you're a device developer, you have to register with Microsoft and we have to authenticate or certify your product because at that time, we will publish and we know what certificate, all that, we have all that information. So when we boot it up, we guarantee the firmware is good, right? So you cannot put a bootkit there. And then after that, we're going to start getting loaded, the kernel loaded, the OS. Now because the firmware is clean, so we guarantee, say, the first thing that gets loaded is the OS loader. You cannot interject in between, and that's what the rootkit, all that things, before you load the OS, I'm coming, I am the OS, right? So because we can guarantee the firmware, the hardware is clean, so we can guarantee that the first thing we're going to load is the OS loader, right? And then all the integrity kind of trigger that. To answer this gentleman's question, talk about the device, you can also do something we call manual boot. Basically, we're taking all the logs here, right? And send it to, basically using that TPM concept, send it to a separate, send it TPM and then send it to a separate machine. And that machine has all the information knowing if we're going to boot, here's the boot sequence or the loading sequence, what it's supposed to be. This is separate in your AD environment or in your environment. So when they boot it up, they will put the log in TPM. Again, when I say TPM, there's a key exchange, so you cannot mess it up. I cannot say, let me interject something, you can't do that, based upon PKI. So this will have integrity, and then we ship that log to a remote server to verify, are these logs all correct? These are logs all correct, and then go ahead and continue to boot. That's called manual boot, right? So it doesn't matter where's the device, if you set this up, and then not just on the hardware, you have the integrity, we also have third party to verify that. Okay, and then you continue to boot it. This will eliminate bootkit to rootkit. Okay, so let's go back a little bit. You got identity, you got data protection, you got threat resistance, right? We got hardware. All this is good. So boot up is great. Then we loaded the application. Now, if you think about traditional detection method, right? You spend $300 buying that antivirus. Great, you load it in, right? So when does it check? When you want to download this application, you say, hey, let me scan it. It's all cool. You pass, install. After that, it's innocent until proven guilty. After that, you can run the application until I detect something's different, right? Every day I have 1 million new threats. That's what we don't know. Detection method is moving better. That's why we don't do that anymore. You have to fundamentally guarantee the integrity. And then, after that, we do something PPCH is, all right, you're loading something, Okay, before I can run this program, this needs a we call it MDM, mobility solution. You need to have a mobility solution in the cloud. So your device, before you run this application, there's an agent on your device will collect the health information, send it to the cloud. The cloud will have constantly update. It will check, okay, all this, okay, based upon the policy you set, this information is good or not good. Maybe you say, okay, reject, you can't run it. Or it's good, right, let you run it. Or conditional, you need to update this patch before you can run it. That happened in real time, behind the scene. So you will get the information, send it to the cloud, and then come back, and then decide what to do. Remember I was telling you, traditional detection is once you pass, it's all good, until you do something different. This is not. This is like every access, if you turn this on, for that particular application, every access, we're going to do the cloud check and coming back. It's called PPCH. Okay, I'm not going to demo this in the interest of time. We're almost there. Okay, I want to collect your thoughts again. So how do you talk about security? When you walk into any meeting, have a conversation, think about this. There's an identity, there's a data protection, there's a threat resistance. In the center is the hardware integrity you need to protect. For identity, don't use password. Eliminate password, use biometric, use multi-factor authentication. That's your solution. Right? For information protection, solution is encryption. Encryption at rest, encryption in transit. Right? The issue is when you move the data around, is it encrypted? Remember, 87% managers send stuff in the cloud, 58%, oops, fat finger factor. So where the data is, that encryption has to follow the data. That's data protection. Threat resistant, 1 million new threats every day. Right? How do you do? Device guard, UEFI 2.3.1, secure boot. Make sure your OS has integrity by the time you boot out. Right? To resist, to make sure you have all the mechanisms still have integrity. Then in the center is your hardware integrity. That's your security spectrum. Right? Your call to action, you need to understand Windows as a service. Okay? You need to understand. Windows as a service, why we didn't call it Windows as a deployment, Windows as an application, why we call it Windows as a service? Okay? This basically OS deployment through the cloud. Your shop, pretty soon, either Windows or not, will need to do this. Okay? Windows as a service. Secondly, you need to inventory your hardware and software before you can do anything. I always joke about, you walk in any shop, first question is, do you have an app? Yes, I do. iPhone, iPad, no. Do you have inventory? Because I need inventory to tell which devices are out there, what's been touched, what's not been touched, what database has been accessed constantly, other have not been accessed in the past 3 months. Then I can determine, okay, this is the candidate to do this, these are candidate for device guard, this is a candidate for OS, the Windows 10 Enterprise, then you can start to kind of manage that. Right? And then access your business needs. Not everybody needs the Windows 10 Enterprise, but you know what, that VP lost 5 laptops a year, you want to put Windows 10 for device guard on that. Right? Technically, that architect has all the corporate IP in it. You want to put device guard, you want to put biometric, you want to put that there. So you need to have the inventory, make the assessment. Roll out UEFI sooner than later. UEFI is 64 bits, full partition. If you're running BIOS now, it needs to reformat. So in your deployment, plan it ahead. Put it in sooner than later. It gives you many, many strategic benefits. Turn on secure boot when possible. Okay? Because you need these two to have that hardware integrity. Then all the three will be meaningful. If your hardware has no integrity, I will take you to the rabbit hole and you'll find out. Okay? Plan your hardware, because all this new capability, they need UEFI 2.3.1, 64-bit, TPM 2.0. In order to do key exchange with TPM, you need TPM 2.0. Right? Virtualization-based technology, you need all that. If it's not Windows 10, fine. But all this, pretty much industry standard. My time is up.